Hey, Matt Brown here, and with this lesson we're going to look at the classic song Wonderwall by Oasis. So, first things first, let's talk about kind of like the tuning and what's going on with that. We're in standard tuning, acoustic guitar obviously, and I've got the capo at the 2nd fret. And when I refer to chord shapes and everything like that, I'll be referring to them as though the capo is the nut, and so I'll be referring to chord shapes as they would be without a capo. So, for example, I'll just call this E minor 7 instead of, transposing it up to F sharp minor 7. So, just so we're all on the same page. Alright, so we've got just a few parts of this song. We've got like an intro / verse, a pre-chorus, and a chorus, and some overdub stuff. So, let's get into it. Alright, so for the intro, I'll break down the chords that we have first, and then I'll talk about the rhythm. So the first one is E minor 7. So with this, I'll go string by string. We have the 6th string open. Then I'll refer to this as the 2nd fret, since this is our 0 fret now. So we've got 2nd fret, 2nd fret, and then we've got open string. And then we've got the 3rd fret and the 3rd fret. So I like to finger this with my 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th fingers. So for the next chord, what happens is the 1st and 2nd fingers come up, and the other fingers stay in place. And they come here, and we're going to play a G chord. So open strings here. This is what I like to call the rock G chord, with the pinky and 3rd finger down here. Alright, so again with the next chord, the 3rd and 4th fingers are going to stay in place. And the 1st finger is going to come down to the 2nd fret of the 3rd string. So what this creates is a D sus4. So we're only going to play the top 4 strings of this one. So not the low 2 strings. Alright, the next chord is an A7 sus4. So with this one, the 1st and 2nd fingers, or you can do it as a bar, they're playing at the 2nd fret on the 4th and 3rd strings. So that's the sound of that chord. So the cool thing about this progression is that you probably notice, hopefully, is that the notes on the 1st and 2nd strings remain constant throughout this whole progression. So you get this kind of cool thing up top, this jangly kind of sound, pedal kind of sound throughout the chord progression. Alright, so now let's talk about the rhythm. The rhythm is, I'll play through this slowly, and hopefully you'll just be able to pick it up by ear, but I'll explain what's going on too. So here it is, 1, 2, 3, and 4, and... that. So what we have with the strum is it's kind of emulating like a drum thing. So I'll talk about that too. So on the downbeat of the measure, we just have a strum, an 8th note strum, full chord. Then on the and of 2, we're just going to go for the bass strings like that. So that fills out beat 1. Now beat 2, again on the downbeat of 2, full chord. Then on the and of 2, we're going to have 2 16th notes. So we're going to do low to high. So 2 and Then here's the chord change for beat 3. We're going to do 3 E and. So what that is bass, high, bass. Alright, so beat 4, full strum of the chord, and then we're going to do bass, high, so that's 4 and Okay, now the next measure, we have 1 E and this is where we're playing the D sus4 chord. So it's going to be bass, high, bass for that chord. And then next beat we have, so we have an anticipation. The A7 sus4 is anticipated. So this rhythm is real syncopated here. It's we've got that 16th note tied to another 16th, then an 8th note, and then 16th notes on beat 4 to close out the measure. So this measure sounds like this, slow. 3 in, 4 in. So on the last two strums of the measure, which would be the anda of 4E anda, he's picking up the first and second fingers to get them ready to go back to the E minor 7 chord. So you get something like this in the last measure. Like that. And he's mainly playing the 5th, 4th, and 3rd strings for those strums. So here we go, whole thing, the whole verse at tempo. So whole verse at tempo, and then we'll do it slow. Okay, now slowly. 4 in. Okay, so that does it for the verse. Now, with the form of the song, the first verse goes into a second verse. So like at the beginning of the song there's like a double verse type thing, but there are two measures of, I would say, just kind of like filler material that happens between that first verse and second verse. So let's look at the chords there first, and then we'll talk about the rhythms. So the first chord here is C add 9. So like the other chords, we have these two high strings at the 3rd fret again. Now our 3rd string is open. Our first finger is going to play the 2nd fret, and second finger will play the 3rd fret. So that's the sound of that chord. Now the second chord is a chord we've already seen before. It's the D sus4. And then for the next measure, we're going to play our A7 sus4. Now, an interesting thing he does in this measure, if you listen real closely, he's kind of ad-libbing and picking up the first finger. That's on the 3rd string. So sometimes you'll get that sound with the open string as opposed to. So very subtle differences. So the part that it's just a 2-measure thing, so I'll play it. So what we have is, to break it down, beat 1 we've got 1 and, so full chord, then bass. And then beat 2, full chord again. And then we've got, so this D sus4 is anticipated. It comes in on the of 2, so 2 E and So that's the first measure. And like I said, the second measure sounds like it's ad-libbed. Here is exactly what's on the recording. Sorry, I'll do that again. So again. So the open string hits on the, he does like 1 E and so it's, so 1 E and, then 2, and then on the end of 2, the open string hits again. know, it really doesn't matter where you throw in the open string. So anything like this, what matters is the rhythm that you play. He is going for like a specific rhythm, because it's the same rhythm that he plays during the verse. So to cover those transitional bars again, we have this. Alright, so now we're into the pre-chorus section. So let's talk about the chords again. Chords, we've got the C add 9 again, and then D sus4 again, and then for the next bar we're going to play the E minor 7. So let's just look at these first two bars. So that's the rhythm there. So we have like a 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and rhythm for the first bar. So there's that bar again. Let's do it again slow. Alright, now here's the next bar slow. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and pay attention to, you know, where the strum is going. We've got for the first beat of the E minor chord, full strum, and then bass, and then full strum. So maybe looking at the transcription for this one will help a lot. So to put those two measures back together at tempo. Alright, so what happens moving on is a little bit different. The C measure is the same, so we get this. And then the chord progression is different from the next bar. We get this. Alright, so let's talk about the chords that happen in this measure. The rhythm is 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and that type of deal. So we get, with our G chord. Alright, and so then what we're going to do is, the next chord is going to be a G/F sharp. So we're going to mute the 5th string, and we're going to change the bass note to F sharp. So that's the sound of the chord. Alright, now the next chord is our E minor 7. And then back to G. So this measure. And so he's mainly doing bass, bass, high, like that. Like that. And then the next measure, next two measures rather, we're going to do our A7 sus4, but we're going to play it with the open string, open 3rd string the whole time here. So the rhythm for that part is this, 3 and 4 and. Alright, so it's like 1 and a 2 and then we've got a tithe thing. So slowly it's this. So again, slowly, more slowly than that. 3 and 4 and. I'll just keep looping these two measures so you can get the rhythm. So now we're into the chorus, and the chorus is a little bit more simple and straightforward rhythmically. So chords we have for 2 beats, C add 9. Then for 2 beats we have E minor 7. And then we have G for 2 beats and E minor 7 for 2 beats. So rhythmically we get this. So it's 1 and 2 and a 3 and 4 and a. And that rhythm goes for both of those measures. So slowly we have this. Now on the last time the rhythm is a little bit different because we have a transitional thing going back in the verse. We get this. So we have 1 and 2 and a 3 and 4 and a. So that measure's the same. And then we have so this measure is so we have 1 and on the G chord, and then a tied 16th note, and then we're going to switch to E minor 7. Okay, so I'll explain what happens here next. So that gets held for a half note. 3, 4, and then we have a bar of 2, 4. So we're going to hold that for 2 more beats. 1, so 3, 4, 1, 2. And then we're back to a bar of 4, 4. And what happens here is there's a drum fill, and then like the guitar kind of coincides with the end of the drum fill as we go back to the verse. So let's talk about the specifics of that drum fill there. So with the drum fill, you really have to be confident with your counting because the drum fill does not come in on the downbeat of the measure. So if you're not confident in your counting, it's easy to think that, oh, okay, that drum beat came in on 1, and then your counting is off by an 8th note. So keep that in mind. It comes in on the end of 1. And then we are going to come in on beat 3 of the measure with our A7 sus4, like this. So it's 1 E and E and with the open strings at the end there. Like that. And then we're into the second verse, the third verse now. Now the third verse is the same as the second in that the chord progression is the same thing, and we don't have that transitional thing like we had at the end of the first verse. So that's basically the core of the song at this point. So we've got the intro / verse, that transitional thing between the first and second verse, which is just a couple measures. We've got our pre-chorus, and we've got our chorus. And then we've got the transitional ending from the end of the chorus back to the next verse. So those are the things that you have to keep in mind. So now what I want to talk about are the background overdubbed parts that are really quiet in the mix, but are fairly important. So let's get after that stuff. So in the third verse, so after the first pre-chorus, or after the first chorus, we have an overdubbed acoustic part that's real low in the mix, and I had a real rough time figuring out exactly what's going on here because it's so quiet. But what we have is a bar of rest, and then we have this 1, 2. So it's just a little E minor pentatonic lick. So open, and then a hammer on here on the 2nd fret, then open 4th string, and then we're going to play an E5 power chord. And the notes are kind of free to ring a little bit, like that. Now the next lick is a little bit different. It goes like this. So that one again. So with this one, you want to make sure that you let the B note ring. Not that one, the first one. This one. And then he just plays the open E. So you kind of get the sound of that ringing E5 power chord. And then that lick repeats again in the next measure. Okay, and then it repeats again, but we don't resolve to the low E. We get this. And now we're into the pre-chorus. Alright, so the pre-chorus part, in total, we have 4 guitar parts. And one of those is mixed in stereo, so it kind of sounds like we have 5 guitar parts, but just 4. So we've got the main acoustic guitar part that I've already talked about. Now we have a new track that comes in too, which is like an acoustic lead guitar thing. And that sounds like this. So that's the overdubbed part, and it's just kind of these high little twinkly kind of sounds. So we have this, 1 and 2, so those are 3rd fret notes. And then what we have is, so that's hammer on, pull off, like that. That's the first measure. Then we have the chord change, so we're going to do this. 1. So this is just kind of like E minor pentatonic, G major pentatonic stuff. Is the lick. And you want to let these open strings ring. So connecting these 2 bars. Sorry, connecting these 2 bars, we have this. And then that repeats. But we want to let the open string ring at the end of that measure. And now we have different stuff. We have this. So I'll break this all down. I'll play it slowly first. 3 and 4 E and Alright, so in that, it's basically 3 measures of new stuff that we have to talk about here. So we have, it's the beginning. So that's a hammer on from open to 3, B to D. And then we have this. So 2 E and then that beat repeats. So 3 E and then on beat 4 we have this. So that's 3 1 in terms of strings, and then we're going to do a pull off from the 2nd fret to open. So it's even slower. Now the next measure we're going to switch to just a D sus2 kind of thing. So that's 2, 3, open. And we have this. So again, I'll do it at tempo. We've got now slowly for those two measures we have this 4 and all right. So to put the whole pre-chorus part together slowly, in this guitar part we have this. Alright, now there's a few more things that we need to talk about how this is layered. So this is the main guitar part. Now I kind of combined two guitar parts into one. The main lead guitar part is just doing this. And then it's the part that was overdubbed, the tone. It's an acoustic guitar that's not as bright as the verse guitar. So some less bright or EQ'd less bright guitar does the. So and then the third guitar is what it's doing is just resting and playing in the open G string. Now this is an electric guitar. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. And that's it. It just plays on the E after 3 in that second bar there. Now, the next time around, it does a bar of rest, and then it comes in on the E of 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then what happens is for the last 4 bars of the pre-chorus, the electric guitar doubles the part that we were talking about, the So that's what's going on. So it's kind of like a call and response thing between the acoustics at first, between the one part that does, and then the other guitar does the, then back to the other guitar, back to the other guitar, back to the other guitar. Actually, at this point now, the electric guitar and acoustic are doubled. And we're into the chorus. So that is pretty much the whole song. The only thing left that we have to talk about is the ending. So the ending comes out of a chorus. So let's get after that. So the ending of this song is exactly how the first chorus ending. We get this the same rhythm on the G chord. So from the C chord we get this. Now, it's another thing to note with not the ending, but the way the first chorus ends. It sounds like the bass player screws up a little bit on the recording. Like he plays an 8th note off of where the rest of where the drums and the acoustic guitar hit. So that was something playing along with recording that kind of threw me for a loop. And just be confident in yourself and be more confident in yourself than the musicians around you is what I always try to be like, in case somebody else makes a mistake. I want to be confident enough that I really know what's going on to keep the song plowing ahead. Alright, so that'll do it for Oasis's Wonderwall. Email me if you have questions or if you want the tabs. I will send them to you for a low fee. Alright, have a good one.